Crater Lake is a magnificent place. The first time somebody sees it and the 100th time somebody sees it, you say, wow. It is a top of a mountain that is blown off thousands of years ago. It was a volcano caldera that filled up with water. The water is the most incredible blue that you can imagine.
Knockout beautiful. I've been there dozens of times, maybe 100 times. It's one of the most foreign places that you can really imagine on Earth. Every trip that I've gone there, it's also a different kind of a mood.
Three, two, one. The best news about today's search and rescue effort is that the weather is starting.
As a news guy, this was a story that was equally frustrating. Some of them just start off bad and they get worse.
The way I understand Sammy's disappearance is that he was visiting Crater Lake with his dad, staying at Diamond Lake Resort. He's got some developmental problems, maybe some form of autism on a scale, and while he's at Crater Lake, they are near what's called the Cleetwood Cove Overlook.
They got about a quarter mile to the east of the Cleetwood Cove Trail, and they parked, and he kind of went running off.
At some point, Sammy crosses the road, and he's up this a scree hill of kind of some rock cut out where the road is there, and there was a cyclist riding by that had stopped to take a photo, and Sammy was getting ready or looked like he was going to throw a rock at the cyclist, and the cyclist cautioned him, and Dad was yelling for Sammy to come back. And whether Sammy was just being a boy or if there was something to do with his condition also, he ran the other direction. His dad ran up the hill after him, and he had vanished.
It gets very, very cold at Crater Lake this time of the year. I mean, it easily dips down below freezing at night. And so time was really of the essence.
So beginning at about 6 o'clock Saturday night, we started putting searchers into the field. That first night we had up to about 25 searchers, a combination of foot searchers, search dogs, and tracking teams. That's what we're basing this entire search on. We're searching for a live Sammy Belke, perhaps burrowed in under some thick vegetation or found a rock overhang.
We were really involved the next day after Sammy went missing. I remember it being a difficult search because of weather. 2 feet of snow came in the next day, and the park, I think, was overwhelmed with the people starting to come in. They set up a staging area, and now they've got all of this assistance coming to try to help and look.
We did a limited helicopter search on Saturday morning, and unfortunately the weather has been conspiring against us. And after about 6 short passes over the search area, the weather socked in, the clouds came in, the rain started, and we weren't able to fly anymore that day.
I believe the number that comes to mind was they had 174 people up there from different search and rescue agencies. That included search and rescue units from neighboring counties, helicopters, search dogs.
The term we use is last seen point, and that's a reference spot usually from where we start our search.
Well, this is the area where Sammy was last seen on Saturday. The ridge behind me with the kind of dirt slope at the top of that ridge was where Sammy was last seen by his father.
It appears that a national park is within a county. It really is its very own sovereign place. And so we received a phone call that there was a missing child there. And we were very anxious to send searchers. We were wanting to send investigators. And the parks often use their own staff initially. They are sometimes an island unto themselves, that it's somewhat exclusive jurisdiction.
Now we are over 400 national parks in the United States, which is something that we're very proud of. The National Park Service is a unit within the Department of the Interior, and within the National Park Service, there's a director of the national parks and the headquarters in Washington, D.C., and then there are regions throughout the United States where they have responsibility over a certain number of the parks.
Does the National Park Service keep a list of missing people in their parks?
I don't recall. I would have regular briefings on different things that were going on. There were significant national crises where the Secretary of Interior should know. There's a whole agency of 23,000 people that were more involved in the day-to-day activity of any given person, any given incident, or any given park.
As somebody who's been an avidly outdoor person all my life, it just is unthinkable to me that there's no accountability from our government when it's easy to be accountable, especially in this day and age of technology. Sometimes records are kept and sometimes records are not kept. There's no requirement for the federal government to keep records of people who go missing on federal lands.
In today's day and age, we should be collecting as much information as we can and putting it in a database that's open, that's not guarded by anyone. If we want to help find the next lost person, we can learn a lot by what went right in that previous search, what went wrong in that previous search, what would they have done differently, and a good record keeping of a search, whether it was successful or not, needs to be on hand so that the next time we go there, the search leader can make informed decisions and use resources very wisely.
In the work I do with missing airplanes, we're always trying to look at that missing airplane list. When I was sheriff of Klamath County, I could get my hands on a list of missing people in a matter of minutes. If you have areas that you don't even know there's missing people, if you have specific jurisdictions that don't have that data, it makes it really difficult going back to reinvestigate when more information comes.
The reality is that if, say, park authorities were open about how many people are missing from national parks and public parks and wilderness areas, then those of us who are going to shelve our fear and still go out there, we can go out better protected. That's what I think authorities should do. I think they should come clean and say, here's all the information. Now you know. We don't know what's going on, but at least you should protect yourself.
It's obviously an unsolved mystery. It's one of those things that you kind of carry it in the back of your mind every time that you go and visit Crater Lake. I mean, it's a tourist destination. It's a happy place to be, but you go up there and you do think that it's a beautiful place, but it's not without tragedy.
The strongest theory, well, there's many. The strongest theory is that he was in those woods somehow, and he likely, in my opinion, got covered up by snow and then maybe became victim of an animal later on. I believe that when a child goes missing, that you throw every resource you have at it initially. And I would have liked to have seen that happen with Sammy that night.